It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
This is RamView, the January 7th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Have you got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, sports ball games. Make game day funner for you and your crew. Play sports ball. Play for a hill of beans or just jelly beans. And there's some great Super Bowl connected news coming down from this group we're excited to be talking about in the very near future. And of course, game day in the Ram Cave. Be sure to check it out on Amazon. It's in softcover and ebook format, written by yours truly. Hey, man, this helps me sustain myself, stay on the air, and yeah, having a good time here with you guys. All right, it is January the 7th. You're lucky I'm here. It's my wife's birthday, and she's graciously allowed me to do a broadcast on her birthday. So I'm pretty fortunate. I'm a fortunate one there. And I got in some trouble. I got in some trouble with some Ram fans because you know what I did? I pointed out history. It's very Orwellian to get in this kind of trouble, and I don't understand it. So because it's what I do, I have a feature here on my computer that I call it. It's a folder thing that's called Rams Almanac. And it's like every time I record a date or something comes up, someone's birthday, big game, all those things. That's why I always go to the whatchamacallit, the Stone Groove.
It was a Stone Groove, my man.
Right? Stone Groove. Okay. So I did my Stone Groove homework, and on January 10th, 2004, the Rams lost to the Carolina Panthers. Most of you probably saw that game. I saw that game. I was very upset. Rams were 12-4. They were at home. They were favored. Still rooting for the Rams, even when they were in St. Louis. And the Rams lost that game. And I made mention that I said, what's the irony of the Rams for the first time are playing the Panthers again on January the 10th on a Saturday, just like in 2004, but in 2026. I just said irony. You should have seen the people that came after me, man. They came after me like I denied the resurrection of the Lord. I mean, they came after me like, man, like, what would that fit? That like I put up the hammer and sickle in Texas. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Hitler showing up to a synagogue. I mean, it was crazy. I couldn't understand the pushback and the blowback on that topic. I didn't even make a prediction. I didn't come against the Rams. I just pointed out the fact that on January 10th, 2004, Rams lost to the Panthers. They haven't played them in the playoffs since. And then when they do, January 10th on a Saturday, 2026, right? And it got real nasty. I don't get it. So the Rams earlier this year lost to Carolina, 2 picks and a fumble by Stafford, right? Remember what Carolina did in that game. They scored 31 points. They beat the Rams 31-28. 2 touchdowns on 4th and short, which is never going to happen again, but it happened, okay? And then the third offensive touchdown was a 3rd and 8 screen to Chuba Hubbard where the Rams, they got out schemed, but it was a big play, something to this point the Rams had not been giving up. I think this was week 13. And so all that happened. And then, of course, we saw what we saw. Stafford's turnovers were off the helmet in the end zone. And then, of course, the fumble at the end when the Rams were driving late. Basically, the Panthers played well, but it was a case of the Rams beating themselves, just like they beat themselves in Philly, just like they beat themselves against Frisco, just like they beat themselves against Seattle, right? We've seen this. We've been to this horror show before. And so that was it. The Rams lost. The Rams beat themselves. They lost to the Panthers earlier this year. So this brings me back to January 10th, 2004. And again, all irony of ironies. 12-4 Rams versus the 11-5 Panthers at home on a Saturday. And the Rams turned the ball over 3 times, 3 Mark Bulger picks. He threw for 332 yards, but he got picked 3 times. Carolina gets a touchdown after an offensive fumble deep in the Rams zone. Muhsin Muhammad recovers it in the end zone. So they didn't even put the ball across the goal line, right? And they got a touchdown. And then the Rams settled for 5 Jeff Wilkins field goals. Now, the first 3 were 20, 26, and 24 yards. What does that tell you? They broke down in the red zone, different era where we probably would have gone for it these days, but that's surrendering 3 touchdowns. Then there was a 51-yarder, and then a 33-yarder at the end of regulation to tie the game by Jeff Wilkins. Put Jeff Wilkins in the Rams Hall of Fame, best kicker ever. But Wilkins did miss a kick in overtime. That 33-yard field goal came after the Rams got inside the Panthers 20. So not only did you have all those other offensive breakdowns, not only did you have the 3 picks by Bulger, but the Rams got inside the Panthers 20 with 30 seconds to play, roughly. And I remember watching this. I was watching this with Mid-Valley sports guy Dwayne Barker way back when. And Martz played for the tie instead of the win. You still had Marshall Faulk. You had Mark Bulger, who was playing some really good football. You had Isaac Bruce. You had Torrey Holt. You had an offense that could move the ball, and you played for the tie. That's what Martz did. I remember just going out of my mind in that moment, and they played for the tie. Wilkins hit the 33-yard field goal, and boom, they got it. Instead of going for the end zone, the Rams were down 23-12 before they got their first offensive touchdown. So, was it John Casey was hitting a bunch of field goals for the Panthers. So they went into overtime, no scoring in the first overtime, first play of the second overtime. Jake Delhomme hits Stephen Smith, and he goes, 79 yards or 69 yards for a winning touchdown, and it's over. And it was just an unbelievable moment. But think about that. The Rams should have won that game, right? And I just thought, irony of ironies, the Rams literally gave that game away. Now, when you think about it, the Rams would have played Philly the next week. And the Panthers beat Philly 14-3. Rams were a better team than Carolina. And then the Rams would have got a rematch against New England in that Super Bowl. And I think we would have gotten them, right? Very frustrating, right? And just irony of ironies. Carolina didn't beat the Rams. The Rams beat themselves on January 10th, 2004. Rams beat themselves in Carolina in week 13 of this year. And in irony of ironies, we're playing Carolina in Carolina on January 10th, 2004. Just whatever. Let the redemption tour begin. So I don't know why everyone got mad at me. Bulger turned into Purdy in that game. Yeah, I'm a huge Bulger fan. In another era, Bulger or another team, because everything fell apart with the front office and everything with the Rams. Bulger was a really good, really good underrated quarterback. I liked Mark Bulger a lot. So here we go. Let's press on here. What do we got? All right. Boom. There we go. John Madden once said, $5 Steve. John Madden once said, in that situation, always made sense for him to go for the TD when you have the field goal in your pocket. Yeah, do you remember that game? I remember the Rams got inside the 20, and obviously, right? 16-yard line, 17-yard kick added to the kick. It's a 33-yarder. Rams were inside the red zone with 30 seconds to play with that offense. And then I got to say it, Rams didn't even look in the end zone. So it was a case of the Rams beating themselves like they did this year in Carolina. So let the redemption tour begin. And if I'm being put outside of Ramdom for this, fine. I've said awful things about Ram fans. I don't think I've said awful things about the Rams that weren't true. Ram fans are ephemeral. Ram fans are vapid. Ram fans are temporary. Ram fans go to the loudest party, right? And that goes back to the 70s. It's something systemic. It's in Ram fan DNA. I don't know if it was there in the 50s, but I saw this. I've lived with it. I've seen it. But I just thought it was hilarious that everyone was coming after me. Okay, this time around, this is what Carolina is, and these are the things to accept. Carolina's wide receivers are trouble, given their size. Totoro McMillan, Coker, and even Legette's pretty good, right? Their running backs are pretty good. Dowdle and Hubbard, right? They're pretty good. And they gashed the Rams pretty good in that game. Not great, but they did. The offensive line is solid. Not great. It should be able to be exploited by the Rams, given who the Rams were earlier this season. But we've seen inferior lines shut down the Rams pass rush. On the flip side, defensively, you got Nick Scott and Roseboom as key contributors who are familiar with the Rams system. But McVay's smart. McVay's not going to play games, right? We know he's going to adjust things a little bit here and there, so they won't be able to read everything. Panthers just got J.C. Horn back at corner, and the other corner, Mike Jackson, is off to had a very good year. Derek Brown is tough in the trenches. If he didn't cost so much money, I'd like him for the Rams. But not much around him. So even without Kevin Dotson, the Rams should be able to get a push in the run game. And of course, the Panthers' pass rush itself is pretty weak. So that really helps the Rams because Stafford, with a full complement of his offense, can really tear things up. The Rams can beat this team. With or without Devontae Adams, they can beat this team, and they're going to have Devontae Adams. But where it gets serious and where it can tilt a little bit is how much confidence do you have in Steve Avila, Coleman Shelton, and Justin Diedick? Kevin Dotson is a huge deal, and it doesn't look like he's going to play. Kevin Dotson not playing is a huge deal. Kevin Dotson next to Coleman Shelton covers for a lot of sins in the inside rush, right? Justin Diedick is solid, but Justin Diedick is not good enough to compensate for Coleman Shelton's physical weaknesses. So you got two guys that are limited in Shelton and Diedick. They're the same guy. And so that makes me a bit concerned. If we see a fourth quarter Ram team like we did a week ago, how the Rams played in the fourth quarter, then what everyone is predicting is true. It will be a blowout. I know everyone's looking at that. What Vegas has the Rams winning by 10. But here's my thing. I've made my peace with this year. I'm rooting, I'm cheering, just because I bring out something from the past.
It was a stone groove, my man.
Just because I bring something out of the past does not mean I'm not rooting for the Rams. I know greatness is still possible. I totally get this. But if the Rams butcher it, if this is something systemic and something about this team that hasn't been rooted out or figured out yet, if the Rams butchered this, I know I'm not going to break anything in the Ram cave because I won't be surprised. I run hot when my expectations are high. And this Rams team deserves to have high expectations. It really does. But boy, they've had more blowouts this year, right? But you've looked at this team and you go, this team, who's like this team? Who should be able to make war against it, right? And yet they make war against themselves, and that's where the frustration comes in. Last year, what did the Rams go? 10-7. Last year was the least enjoyable, greatest season for the Rams, right? They're 10-7. They overcome that slow start, all these injuries, but nothing was ever easy. So it was always stress every week. This week we've had some bye games during the course of the season, right? Where you played Arizona in Arizona. You played some teams and you did to them exactly what you were supposed to do. New Orleans at home. You did to them what you were supposed to do. But it doesn't feel like that right now. It doesn't feel like that. Maybe Quentin Lake, I don't look at him as much of a physical talent. Maybe Quentin Lake is more of a spiritual leader of this team than we thought, or I underestimated. Maybe you didn't. But Quentin Lake, having him back on the field will be a galvanizer, right? Just like in the past, Rob Havenstein. Even though he wasn't always the best tackle, he was the glue guy, the spiritual leader of the offensive line after Whitworth. And so I'm thinking maybe that's about Lake, because that's when a little bit of all the defensive struggles began. So having Lake back on the field should be able to turn this around. For total faith, for me to revert to where I was about 6 weeks ago, which is where I dwelt until the Atlanta game, I need a 40-burger and a 3-touchdown victory. And I'll take any victory, but a 40 burger and a 3-touchdown victory will cause me to get off this wagon of having doubt. I want to be mad. I want to have the capacity to break something when the Rams play. And so there you go. Rant in. Sorry, guys, I didn't give you a chance to talk too much. USA expat. Beat ourselves in those losses, but also had to contend with very bad officiating. But, that's cooked into the pie, right? There's a possibility for bad officiating. But if the Rams had just done what they were supposed to do, it would have definitely offset those calls, right? But no, I'm not arguing with you, USA expat. Not arguing with you at all. And I'm, as the conspiracy guy, going along with what some of you have said, I'm probably not doubting that Puka's comments haven't caused the Rams to have the refs swallow a few whistles at the expense of the Rams, right? Yeah, there's something there. Okay, let's look at Micah. All right, Micah's here. Let me get you guys into this rhythm here. Micah Gutierrez, just look at the run defense when Lake was in and when he wasn't. I'd expect the Panthers game to make less noise on Saturday. And again, think about it. 2 4th-down touchdowns. Those things to that point in the season had not happened to the Rams, right? And then the Chuba Hubbard touchdown, that one was a fluke. You didn't see that. That was that wide screen, and the Rams were just shifted to the other side of the field. Give Panthers credit. That was on a 3rd and 8. That was a get off the field play. And then, of course, the pick 6. And that's how the Rams lost that game. And Stafford has again, you can say Stafford had a bad game. He didn't have a great game. But I can't fault a guy for a football going off a defender's helmet, right? Stuff happens, man. Stuff happens. The pick 6 was bad. And then the fumble at the end. Yeah, it was what it was, right? It was what it was. All right, Cert. For me, returning 3 blue-chip players, Devontae Adams, Quentin Lake, and Kevin Dotson, is a major deal, game changer. Their replacements were trash. Diedick, DJ Humphries, and Mumpfield. I didn't think that about Diedick. I think Diedick is yeoman. I think Diedick is very blue-collar. Do we want him in there? Do you want him as your starting right guard for a whole season? No. He's a utility guy that is filled in here and there because Avila was out, and then he bounced over. I think Diedick's acquitted himself well. Humphries didn't play well. I'm going to be right there with you that Humphries didn't play well, but I will argue that Humphries probably had rust for not playing for a year. The speed of the game, to me, looked like it overwhelmed him. I'll tell you this, Witherspoon looked horrible last Sunday. Yeah, he got the pick, but Witherspoon didn't look good, and I think that's probably because of some rust. And Mumpfield, I don't have a problem with Mumpfield. Mumpfield shouldn't even be playing as a rookie 7th rounder, but he's given us a couple of catches, and you've seen some of the long throws up the sideline, even before Adams went out, that Stafford threw to Mumpfield. He has confidence in Mumpfield. And, I can't argue against if Stafford has confidence in a guy. That's hard for me to argue against. So I'm right there with you. Raul Salas, thank you so much for clicking on. And I hope we get Kevin Dotson back, sir. I do. I hope we get him. Tim Burns chimes in. Rams 41-20, 3-touchdown win. That's what I want. I'll be very happy. I'll be even happier if it's 41-13 with 9 seconds to play and that touchdown is scored. There we go. All right, $5 Steve. Rams have to stop the run and get Carolina off schedule. Bryce Young not good enough to convert a lot of 3rd and 8 or more. Right there with you, right? I'm right there with you. I look at that loss in Carolina for Bryce Young as an outlier versus a Rams defense. He didn't look good against Tampa, and our defense is better than Tampa. It was a bad day, right? It was a bad day for the Rams. Mike Gutierrez, persons fine sitting Dotson since it'll be raining, but he's going to be essential for – and again, it's awful to say I got to think about next week in the playoffs when you got to get past the first week. But in some ways, McVay has to think that way because you do not want to play Philly, Frisco, Chicago, or Seattle without Kevin Dotson, right? Without Kevin Dotson. I want to see him with some sacks. We talked about that at the beginning. The Seahawks offensive line is solid. It's played well, but the Rams have failed against inferior lines, much more inferior than Carolina's line is. And so yeah, they got 2 sacks on him on Bryce Young last time they played. Rams need to up the ante. And again, it's not necessarily about finishing with the big sack. It's about making life miserable. And this was the deal against Kirk Cousins. He was not made miserable. We needed him to be miserable, and he wasn't made miserable, right? Jared Goff in the first half, right, against the Rams when the Lions came to town. Rams dominated the second half because they started getting to him. But if you can't move him off his mark, the dude is going to rip you apart. It's like playing a set shooter in basketball, right? Make the set shooter take a dribble. Make the set shooter have to move without the ball, and he's completely liquidated, right? He's completely phased out, completely made obsolete. But you just let him catch and shoot because you doubt, right? You doubt he can hit that shot, and you just keep letting him take it. That's what's going to happen to you, right? That is what's going to happen to you. All right, I'm Joe Terozin. As a sports writer for 21 years, I get to do RamView now thanks to Kistler Law. Get the compensation you deserve. Click on that QR code. We want to say thank you to Kistler Law for all their support. And then I want to talk about sports ball games real quick here in the near future. I'm going to, hopefully very soon, I'm going to be showing you some new slides. They got some Super Bowl stuff cooking. But this is a lot of fun. Looking for a way to bring your crew together on game day without the gambling stress or the fantasy overload? Try sports ball games. Free pick 'em and squares, live leaderboards, bragging rights built in. One click and you're in. No fees, no spreadsheets, no headaches. Just sports fun for you and your crew to enjoy. Whether you're cheering from the break room or the backyard, sports ball games makes every game day a team event. And if you're following me on YouTube, it's right there in the description. Be sure to click on that. And of course, just thank you for your support with my books and especially with Game Day in the Ram Cave. All right. Around the NFL and other places, Todd Bowles is keeping his job. Good for Todd Bowles. But John Harbaugh was canned, right? Pete Carroll, Raheem Morris, Jonathan Gannon, Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski was a surprise. John Harbaugh was put in the street. Boom. After 18 years, won Super Bowl. Again, I look at it like I look at it for Stefanski. I think this is a gift to Harbaugh. I understand Lamar Jackson's, a competitor. Lamar Jackson's a great player. And I don't know if there was a real issue between Harbaugh and Jackson other than the team wanted to go a different direction. But and this is good. Sometimes you need that change. I have no problem with Harbaugh wanting to move on. I worry about it more for Carolina. Or not Carolina, but Baltimore, because you're going to pay 74.5 rocks this year, 2026 and 2027 to Lamar Jackson. And I'm not sure how much of that is guaranteed after next year, but that's a massive amount of money. 74 rocks to a guy, how do I say it? 3 out of 10 times makes a big time pass. I want to say never makes a big time pass. But the Steelers played such poor defense, so did former Ram Jalen Ramsey, that he did make some plays. He's a competitor. I like him as a competitor, but his best days are behind him. And, I remember everyone said, who cares if he doesn't play 10 years? They'll take what you got now. Well, you did it. He ran the ball. And now he just doesn't have that explosiveness anymore. He just doesn't. Now, you want to be a coach going to a team, and how far do you let Lamar Jackson fall? I could see him coming back next year and for the first 9-10 weeks looking like old Lamar. And then for weeks 11 through 18, he's going to look like an old Lamar. And you're the new head coach and you're committed to all this money. What do you do, right? What do you do? John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, right? And he hadn't even gotten that far in Lamar Jackson's prime. John Harbaugh, he should take a year off and then come back and join his brother's staff next year. That's what he should do. I think he would be really happy doing that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the guy. Baltimore is looking for a coach. So are the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, Atlanta Falcons, Tennessee Titans, Arizona Cardinals, and Cleveland Browns. What is that? 7 teams? 7 teams, roughly almost a quarter of the league. Be looking for new head coaches. The only one that did surprise me a little bit is we all thought McDaniel was going to go. I think it's a nightmare in Miami. I don't think they know what to do. And I'm happy he survived it, but I'm surprised he did. Was Todd Bowles was he's coming back for a 5th year in Tampa Bay. Seahawks designate Elijah Arroyo to return from the IR. And the last report I read was Trent Williams and Ricky Pearsall are expected back for the 49ers as they go to Philly, Indiana, and who is it? Indiana, Oregon? I'm rolling Indiana. Mississippi, Ole Miss, and Miami. I'm going to be happy for whoever comes out of that game. I like Cristobal. I'm happy for the Hurricanes being back. And, of course, we all just love the stick it to Lane Kiffin stuff that goes on there. So it should be fun. I'm so happy it starts tomorrow. And then let's look at Saturday's games. We talked about the Rams and Panthers. I'm sorry, guys. I missed some of your comments. Forgive me. Sorry. Let me see. Tribe. Thank you, Tribe, for clicking on. Joe, it sounds like Dotson will be back Saturday. Are they saying he's playing? Is that the most recent news? That's good news. If they're happy with him playing, then that's great, right? Harbaugh's probably already in Vegas, right? Yeah, he should be there saying, hey, man, this is what you got to do against New England. Sir, I thought Fisk rushed the quarterback better. I think his ankle got better. Yeah, they've really limited his snaps, and he did pick up a sack. I was happy for him. I know some people were down on him, saying he wasn't playing well, but he has been banged up this year. I like Braden Fisk. I like him a lot. I'd like to get him another partner there along that defensive front. Mikey Gutierrez, if I'm John Harbaugh, I'd seriously consider the Raiders. They have all the building blocks for his 22 personnel. Oh, okay. At offense and Fernando Mendoza, right? Fernando Mendoza. There you go. Let's go. Cert. All right. Thank you for agreeing with me. In some places, it's heresy to say Lamar Jackson has lost a step. Thank you so much. I think $5 Steve says, I think Miami is waiting to hire a GM first. Yeah, they let go of Chris Greer. Curtis Greer is an offensive lineman. My bad. Juice Man. I just subbed you. Juice Man, you are the man. Thank you so much, Juice Man. Great to have you here and joining us on RamView. Let's keep looking at this here. Okay. Packers at Bears. I initially looked at this and I said Bears for sure, Bears for sure, Bears for sure. The offense is coming back together for Green Bay. This is a Green Bay team that a couple years ago, remember they went into Dallas and won in Dallas when you didn't think they were going to win. There is that certain something. What do we call it? I don't know. There is that certain something about Jordan Love. And as $5 Steve pointed out in our last show, they went there and they won that game until they fumbled that onside kick. They had that game won. And of course, no one saw the hold on the final touchdown pass to DJ Moore. Was that Quay Walker that got held? I won't say anything, but we are rooting for the Packers against the Bears. Get one of those snowbound teams out. And so let's get them out of here. But I think the Packers have a legitimate shot, and I think the Bears might be a bit spent emotionally. And then Sunday, let me see here. Sorry, guys, I was ignoring you. Juice Man, I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous about going into this Carolina game with every reason, right? You could still be a Ram fan and not drink the Kool-Aid. Hey, all I posted was January 10th, 2004, Rams lost to Carolina in the playoffs. January 10th, 2026, Rams are playing Carolina in the playoffs as favorites again, right? Rams are favored by 8 points against Carolina all those years ago. They're favored by 10 points. But we watch the Rams, and we know what this team is capable of, and we also know what this team is capable of. So I think you're right to be concerned because this team has given you reason to be concerned, right? It's like when your kid says, "Trust me, Dad," and then you kind of you pull out the list. I know love keeps no record of wrongs, but I do. And it says, well, you were late this night, you were late that night, you were late that night, right? And so the Rams have given you reason to do this. I'm there with you. Can they blow them out? Absolutely. Am I picking them? Yeah, pretty much. I am picking them to win, but it's all possible. ESG, just the fact they are mentioning that Dotson could play on Saturday is great news for the second round. Firmly agree. I came and I didn't see anything on Dotson. So I'm really happy to hear that. It's like Devontae Adams. They said Adams was really upset about not playing against the Cardinals, but weren't you thrilled? Weren't you thrilled to hear that he could have played and they just held him back? That made me happy. Juice Man, I hope Bears get the win against the Packers. Really? I want the Packers because if the Rams have to play the Packers at home, they have to play them at home. They won't go to Lambeau. And it'll kind of fulfill the prophecy of my book, Game Day of the Ram Cave. Rams-Packers, NFC Championship game. Would that be sweet or what? You'd all have to buy a book then. All right, to find out the outcome. But no, I am rooting for the Packers against the Bears. I am rooting for the 49ers against the Eagles. But because then everything moves to the West Coast, right? You either play in Frisco, you either play in Seattle, or you play at home. So I'm down with the get down on that. Let's see. I can't believe that Green Bay is favored in that game against Chicago. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but Chicago feels like it's wavering. I just feel that like that. Packers versus Bears. It's looking like a snow game. Mikey Gutierrez. Go Pack. Go Pack. Rod X, 28X. Thank you, Rod. Everything is good. My wife has let me broadcast on her birthday. Bill. USA Expat. Need a new head coach? Start your search in Seattle. Laugh out loud. Oh, no. There you go. Rod, Rams 31-17. Yeah, there. I think Kubiak. They talked about Kubiak going to Baltimore there, expat. Juice Man, yeah. I don't get how we are favored versus Carolina, but hey, if we can get it done, I'll take it. Yeah, again, I think, yeah, you got to, just like any team, you could look at the stats, you could look at the highlights, but man, when you watch every game of your favorite team, you know all the nuance, right? That's what drives you crazy when you hear national media making comments, and it's like, are you kidding me? It's when national media says the Rams need to draft a tackle, right? Rams, you see mock drafts drafting a tackle. It's like, no, if you've watched the Rams, they don't need to draft a tackle with the 13th pick overall, right? So, USA Expat, Rams 38-13. Juice Man, happy birthday to the wifey. Thank you so much. Juice Man, I can't root for the 49ers, never will. But can you root for them to be emotionally destroyed? Think about it. Think about the pleasure, right? Of and the truth is, I'm sorry, I said it. We wouldn't have to go to Frisco. Frisco would have to come here. Don't we just take a great pleasure in crushing 49er dreams? So I will root for them to have the bigger pain, to the pain, right? Happy birthday, Mrs. Pastor Joe. Thank you, ESG. Drew Sullivan. Thank you, Drew, for clicking on. I agree. Mark Bolger was fun to watch. Very underrated. Rams moved off of Kurt Warner for this guy. I liked Bolger. I really did. I think he got the snot knocked out of him. But Bolger, man, it's unfortunate, man, that Bolger just one of those guys that played in a different era. If I'm wondering, I know I'm going to mention he who must not be named, Jeff Fisher, but if you had Mark Bolger in his prime from 2010 to 2015, 2016, with as good as that Ram defense became, you have to wonder if they could have done something. It's killing me. It's killing me. Cert, I know they have anti-inflammatory drugs they can pump into Dotson's ankle. Can't you just stick a needle in there and drain out that fluid or whatever it is? Destroyed. Absolutely. I see what you're saying when I'm talking about the 49ers, right? Right. Every time they cry out, I'm going to drink wine, right? Every time they ask for mercy, I'm going to light a cigar, right? So there you go. Bills, Jaguars. I like both those quarterbacks. I want to see them both get their proper flowers. I think everyone looks for an opportunity to tear down both these guys, but I think they're gonna. I can't see Buffalo winning in Jacksonville. Now, I mean, Bills went to Atlanta and lost, and of course the Rams lost in Atlanta. Bills lost other games that they should have won. It was like, what's going on here? I know they'll be focused, but yeah. Would I like to play the Bills in the playoffs? Yeah. In the Super Bowl? Yeah. We've already beat the Jaguars. So yeah, I'm going with the Jaguars in this game. I just think they're hot. They won in Denver in a must-have game. So I am going with the Jaguars in this game. And then Frisco and the Eagles. I initially put on Monday, I said Philly will embarrass this great offense because I don't think this offense is that great. It's easy, You can build up a great reputation when you're knocking around the bum of the week, when you're hitting the Spider Ricos of the world like Rocky was. But you got to play Apollo at some time, and I think Frisco's going to play Apollo. There's no more Spider Ricos, and I think Philly's going to embarrass them. Now, Fog City put Tatum Bethune on the IR, who's played really, really well, and I understand they're getting Trent Williams and Ricky Pearsall back, but I just don't understand the faith in Frisco. I think Philly knows how to win. Philly, I think you gotta overlook their dysfunction to some degree. We grew up, a lot of us, maybe I'm the only one, but I grew up watching the 78 Yankees, and that team was nuts. That team was crazy. That team was out of sorts, and we thought the Dodgers, they went up 2-0 on them. We thought, man, the Dodgers were finally going to get over the hump in the Garvey Say, Russell Lopes, Lasorda era, and they didn't do it for another 3 years. So the Eagles are that team, and I think they could put it together. I don't think they want to be embarrassed at home, and I think that instead they're going to embarrass Frisco. And again, let's remember this. That Seattle defense that everyone thinks is great, the Rams put over 500 yards on the board, right, against them. So I am leaning strongly Eagles versus the 49ers. Let's see here. I liked Bulger. Rodex, I like Bulger. No offensive line, though, ruined his career. I agree. They couldn't get the offensive line right? They drafted Alex Barron. Orlando Pace kind of went south pretty fast. They never replaced Timmerman, McCollum along the offensive line. They had a lot of misses there. I mean, I think I broke it down, and I'll do it in draft season again. When you look at the lost decade of the Rams drafting, it might be 11 years, 2000 to 2010 instead of and stuff. And they only had like one hit, and that was Steven Jackson. And so, yeah, that was a bummer. And you got to remember also early on what Martz's offense was, man. They were playing scram. Everybody's out in the pattern. You never saw anyone sticking around to block for him in the backfield. So let's see here. ESG acupuncture is great for sprained ankles. All right, never had it. I've only had one sprained ankle in my life, and when I got my sprained ankle, I broke my wrist at the same time. Juice Man, Mark Bulger was part of the team that made me a Rams fan. Isaac Bruce, Kevin Curtis, good pull. Kevin Curtis, Dane Looker, some of those guys, good pull. McDonald, etc. Legendary. Holt, legendary in my eyes. Good call there. Good pull on Kevin Curtis. ESG. I think the 49ers can get blown out, but this Philly team has an awful offense. Redemption time, right? Redemption. I think whatever comes the Rams' way, it comes the Rams' way, right? Whatever comes their way, let it come, right? Let it come. You get redemption, right? Thing is, if you got to play Frisco in the playoffs, you're going to play them at home because you got the 5th seed. And where did we lose to Frisco? We lost to Frisco at home. Redemption. If you get Seattle, redemption. You'll get them in Seattle. If you get Philly, you're going to get them in Philly. Redemption. And again, I think it would just be the sweetest of all Super Bowls runs if the Rams could just beat everybody that beat them. That would just be a monster narrative. Juice Man, I got Philly beating the Winers. Mark my words. Rematch, Rams versus Philly. Man, want it, right? Don't we want it? Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, can't imagine if Stafford played with the greatest show on turf, he would have done a lot of damage in the NFL. I don't want to sell short Kurt Warner, but yeah. I mean, let's just say, there wasn't a Kurt Warner, he would have just gone nuts in that offense. But again, I wasn't the first one to draw it, and I'll give credit. Coward, I think Coward was the first one to make that analogy. Was what would the narrative be? Because they've each won one Super Bowl, right? Stafford and Aaron Rodgers. What if Aaron Rodgers went to Detroit and all that madness, and Matthew Stafford ended up in Green Bay, right? What would have happened? And how would you be viewing it? Wouldn't be Stafford chasing Rodgers. It would be Rodgers chasing Stafford. Although I don't think we would have ended up with Stafford leaving Green Bay. And, at this point, would you have wanted Rodgers to come to LA? That was, I know we didn't last year. Remember the offseason, they're talking about Rodgers coming to the Rams. $5 Steve, that's because Richie stuck his big butt out. 78 World Series, he did. He stuck his butt out. Would review have overturned that? I never saw Garvey get so mad, right? He's ready to catch the ball and he just starts pointing with his glove. Juice Man 560. I used to skate for years, so I sprained my ankles a lot. Left ankle 6 times, right ankle 8 times. I broke my teeth. Shout out skateboarding. Oh my gosh. When I was a youth pastor, I had a whole core group. I used to do skate days. We built our own ramp. I didn't skate, but my guys built their own ramps, the fun box, the rail, the half pipe thing, all that stuff. And I never had my church coming after me so hard about insurance issues, waivers, and all these kind of things. So skaters, man, you guys are a different breed. Juice Man, as far as the AFC, who do you have going to the Super Bowl? Well, let's get back to that real quick here. I do like the Jaguars over the Bills. The Charger game is a little harder for me, and I did the whole H&H. Harbaugh and Herbert might be enough to overcome Spanos Mojo. But, with everything that's going on, Omarion Hampton is nursing an ankle, right? And you can't help but think where this team would be with Hampton and Harris in the backfield, where they would be if both tackles were healthy. So what you have is a team with a very mediocre pass rush, New England, versus a team with pass protection success that is totally based on how fast Herbert can run and how fast Herbert can get away. Harbaugh, I have no doubt, can do something, and the Patriots are a team that I think can get a one and done situation going there. I'm not certain on that game yet. I'm definitely Texans over the Steelers. Right now in the AFC, I am leaning Broncos. Unless the Broncos have to play Jacksonville, then that really gets pretty interesting again. Juice Man, for me, it's either Broncos or Bills. I like the Bills. I'm rooting for the Bills. I want to see them get there. But could you imagine the awesome have the Bills play the Rams, and then the Bills get them all that way, and then they lose their 5th Super Bowl? And the Rams get to do it. How fun would that be? Wait, you're a pastor? Yes. Yeah, I am a Christian pastor. Yeah, I pastor a small church in Burbank, California, a Nazarene church, and I was a youth pastor for 11 years. I've been a senior pastor for 25 years. I'm in my 26th year. I guess I'm going into my 37th year as a pastor. But I also was bivocational. I served 21 years as a sports writer, and the good thing about being a sports writer was, as a pastor, you don't make a lot of money. So I complemented my living by doing sports writing, and now I do a podcast thanks to Kistler Law, and then I also have my books on the side. So there you go. That's my background. I hope that doesn't scare you off too much. Juice Man, yeah, I got Texans beating Steelers, same page. Cool. I think so. Again, though, you look at that, Tomlin is 17-0, someone said. I didn't verify it, but I read it on a link somewhere. 17-0 on Monday night. Our guy, Steeler fan Rob, has full faith in that. I don't have full faith in that. I think we got the extent of the Steeler run is they got to the postseason and they're going to lose in the first round, which has been their MO for the last 1,000 years. Brian Smith, old man Pete Carroll will want a gig. Wouldn't be surprised if Gruden's name got thrown around, even though he's overrated. Okay, Carroll is done. I totally agree with you on that. And I'm a Pete Carroll fan. I thought the Raiders would be not winning. I thought they'd win about 6 games, but I thought they'd be competitive, and they died on the vine. So Carroll, love it. Go someplace else. Be a motivational teacher. Wouldn't be surprised if Gruden's name got thrown around. I think Gruden is fine as long as you don't give him control over player personnel, right? Just don't give him control. Was it Rich McKay and Dungy and that crew in the mid to late 90s, the drafting of Sapp and all those guys, that built that Buccaneer group, Brooks at linebacker. And then when Gruden got there, McKay kind of got pushed out. Not McKay got pushed out. I think he went to Atlanta and was part of that initial process there with Michael Vick. But Gruden got more control, and everything slowly started falling apart. And you saw Gruden with Mike Mayock in Oakland in the late teens before he was run out by the league, which was a ridiculous thing. And I hope he wins his lawsuit. But they butchered all those draft picks, from the ones they collected off of Amari Cooper. They butchered the draft picks off of Khalil Mack. They butchered everything. And you don't want Gruden having control. If you want Gruden maybe to run your offense, if you want Gruden maybe just to be your head coach, but no, I wouldn't bring him in. I wouldn't bring him in unless he knows how to just sit down and shut up, right? Juice Man, nice. I started going to a Christian church relatively new. I'm not perfect, but always knew Jesus was there ever since I was a kid. Awesome sauce, man. That's great. If you ever want to email me, some of you guys got my email. I think it's in the description. But my email there is yahoo.com. JTBank1964 at Yahoo. If you ever have a question, I don't do my church stuff here, obviously. I'll make an analogy to it sometimes. But if you ever have a question, man, feel free to shoot it at me. All right, $5 Steve. Cardinal Dolan says that type of thinking is allowed in sports, Joe. Well, which one was that? I rattled so far, man. Which one is that? Let me know, man. I want to know. What did I do? Tell me what I said so I can build on it. Juice Man, always relied on him since I can remember. I'm even a bigger fan of your show now. Well, thank you very much, man. I do appreciate it. Okay, got it. All right, cool. So let's keep on trucking here. Texans Steelers like that one. There's this great opportunity here. So if the Packers and Eagles win, all right, that means we go to Philly, running on the presumption that the Rams win, okay? If the Packers and Eagles win, the Rams go to Philly. It's too late. I mean, I'll just speak it to you. If the Packers and 49ers win, we play Fog City at home. That means the Packers go to Seattle, and we get Fog City at home. That's pretty righteous, right? And then if the Bears and Eagles both win, we go to Seattle, which a redemption tour, right? If the Bears and 49ers win, we go to Chicago. So those are the things that are in front of us. I want them all, right? I'm Chicago, whatever. Chicago doesn't scare me because their defense sucks. But, again, will the Rams come to play? Last time the Rams went to Chicago, they died on a vine. They basically gave away a win against the Bears. So lighter redemption there. But I love the idea of getting a chance to play Seattle, getting a chance to play Carolina, obviously, Philly, and then even Frisco. It'd be awesome to beat Frisco at home after what they got earlier this year. Let's see. Wishing bad things on the Bills fan base. Okay, yeah. Is that bad? Am I wrong when I do that? Am I wrong? Bro, chill. It's a game. No, it's the rooting against, because rooting for the Bills to lose just kills that Bills mafia. And I don't hate the Bills. But there is that little part of me that does like to just, in sports, you just stick it to somebody when you can. All right. ESG, if all the seeds win, except for Carolina, Rams go to Seattle for the second round. Absolutely. Yes, they do. I'm not afraid of it for the Rams. We know what the Rams are capable of. There isn't a team out there that I'm afraid of for the Rams. Actually, I'll tell you who scares me because we haven't played them yet. You know who scares me a little bit for the Rams to play? Denver. Denver scares me a little bit. I don't know why, but they do. Harbaugh is like his brother. He knows how to build football teams from the ground up. Vegas should hire him. And then you get Fernando Mendoza, right? That would be a great pick. Juice Man, I would love a rematch in Seattle. Good game for sure, waiting to happen. Let's see. Dukendo, Rams petty revenge tour starts Saturday. Not petty. Yeah, just spiteful revenge tour. Spiteful revenge. I'm all in on revenge. I'm all in on spite when it comes to the Rams doing this. All right. Let's have some fun here real quick.
It was a stone groove, my man.
All right. Let's not take anything that's historical out on me. All right. Just for speaking what happened in the past. On this day, 10 years ago, January 7th, the Rams lost their offensive coordinator after 3 seasons, and he was replaced by a tight ends coach named Rob Boras. Does anyone know who the Rams offensive coordinator was in 2015 that resigned after 3 seasons? If you do, let me know. His name is still floating around the NFL. On this date in Rams history in 1979, I watched it from my apartment living room with by myself. My brother went someplace else. I watched it alone. Rams lost to the Dallas Cowboys 28-0, scoreless at halftime, and then everything fell apart. Rams running game. Capoletti got hurt, never played again for the Rams. McCutcheon was hurt. I think Wendell Tyler was hurt. Everyone was out. We're running Colin Bryant the whole time. Colin Bryant actually fumbled in that game, and he never fumbled. Pat Hayden busted a finger. Vince Ferragamo maybe got some playoff experience that worked out next year, threw a pick six to Hollywood Henderson, who spiked it over the thing. Just a miserable experience in that season there. Again, Rams fooling themselves thinking they were going to go to a Super Bowl with Pat Hayden in those days. But better anniversary, January 7th, 1990, divisional playoff. Rams win against the New York Giants, 19-13 overtime. Jim Everett to Flipper Anderson, beating Mark Collins and running all the way to pay dirt and then down the tunnel as the Rams won. And they had won the week before in Philly, won in the Meadowlands, and then that was the last great win for the Rams in that era, because the next week we know what happened in Frisco, and then that was the end of everything until they went to St. Louis. But that was a great Ram win. No social media in those days, my friend, Mr. Barker. We were young. We were at church. And here's the thing. We went to church because we knew if you don't go to church, if church is in your routine, right, and you vary from the routine to watch the Rams play, you're going to cost the Rams a game. So you need to go to church and then record the game. So pull out a VCR tape. You know, how big were they? You know, they were probably about this big in those days. And it's pretty cool. I got that at Gettysburg. But Gettysburg. And we recorded it, and we raced from church to his pad and sweated it out. And it was a wonderful, wonderful day. So there you go. We're not on the air tomorrow, but let's see here. On January 8th, 2001, Rams hired Lovie Smith as DC. He ended up being the DC that went with us to the Super Bowl 36. And on 2020, on this date, John Bones Fossil resigned as special teams coach, and special teams hasn't looked the same since, right? Right. There we go. Juice Man, not ringing a bell. Okay. That's okay. Let's see here. How often do you go live for Rams Talk? 3 times a week. 3 times a week. I try to go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I used to be a lock at 5 p.m., but my schedule and all those NFL games, Thursday nights and different moves and stuff, just kind of really, I don't want to be on when NFL football is live. I understand my place in the world, and so no, I had to move earlier in the afternoon. I try to get on between 3 and 4 now. And the one thing I do is just like anything else, is I pretty much go all off season as well. The shows might get shorter, maybe a day might get moved here or there, or I'll let you know when I'm out of town. But to me, the driest period of football talk is right after the Super Bowl, which is 10 days or 14 days before the combine. And I'm all into the draft and the free agency and off-season moves and salary cap issues. So pretty much, though, I keep going all the way through. I don't just disappear on you guys. So thank you so much. Dano, Pastor Joe, I'm concerned with Dolak out and Whittington banged up. Yeah. Getting Adams back, Whittington can be scaled back. I'm okay with that. I like Dolak. I'd rather see Dolak out there than Troy Reeder, right? Troy Reeder came in for a couple of legitimate snaps on Sunday, and that's always palpitations, right? Palpitations. Let's see here. Steve, $5 Steve, I watched that game alone too. My family was out and about. Those Pat Hayden interceptions were the difference. Yeah, and again, Hayden was the golden boy from the San Gabriel Valley, Bishop Amat, USC. Great moments at USC, so you had a feeling for him, but I always liked James Harris better. But there was always that, they never got rid of Hayden, right? It's like, help me, right? Help me. Yeah, I'd much rather watch a game alone than with anybody else. There you go, Steve. $5 Steve. I was lucky my church had 9 a.m. mass and I lived 2 miles from the church. There you go. That's even better. There you go. And there's multiple masses you can go to, right? Even like before on 9, isn't there like an 8 o'clock mass? Juice Man, my church has 2 services, 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 to 2 p.m. So depending on what time the Rams play, I could make it work. There you go. If it's your routine, and we talk about this in my book. Game Day in the Ram Cave. If it is your routine, right? I'm not ordering you to go to church. It doesn't work that way. If it's in your routine, then you need to go on Sunday morning. You don't want to mess with the Rams, right? You don't want to mess with the Rams. Let's see. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yep, there you go. You got it. Sometimes I try to do a post game. It's just really hard. Let's see. Off season. What do we get here? Off season, you're goated, man. Thank you very much. Let's see. Can confirm draft season with Joe T is a great time. Thank you, Micah. Also, now with the graphics we can do, right? We can show a lot of the stuff that I was just talking about before. And we've hit the 57-minute mark. My church has a Saturday night service, so I go then and get all Sunday free. All right, guys, cool. I think we covered it all. I will be back on Friday. Thanks for having patience with me today, getting on a little bit later. But be sure to subscribe. Juice Man, thank you for joining us. All you guys. Dano, good to have you back. Tribe, Sir, $5 Steve, Brian Smith, the great Tim Burns, all you guys. USA Expat, I appreciate you being here. Micah, Manny, all you guys. ESG, God bless. Take care.